right, welcome to Gen X Rated Thursday edition. How's it going, Billy?
It's going all right. Made it to Thursday.
Yeah, not too bad. We missed a
Could be
major
worse.
storm last night, so that was pretty good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and the sun is shining, but spring is scary in the Midwest. I'll say that
Yeah, it is. It's you never know what you're gonna get.
for sure. And we do have some updates on FEMA that we'll get to later. It's really not a concern of anybody anymore because you don't have it anymore. So
Yeah, so don't worry about it.
but we will come back to that. I figure we should probably start with some politics. This guy right here, Mike Waltz,
Bye,
National
Mike.
Security Advisor. You may remember him from Signalgate. He's been first. It was reported he was fired, but apparently, since Trump's never wrong, they just reassigned him. So he's now going to be the UN ambassador instead of the National Security Advisor.
I thought he'd be the washroom attendant at the Pentagon, but that's a good gig too.
Yeah, well, at least he gets to keep his pledge pin, I guess, and he can stink up the UN.
Yeah.
There were a lot of pressure to get to some kind of conclusion for somebody to be fired for Signalgate, but
Well, and somehow Hegseth has still managed to sidestep all of this. I mean, this guy is an incompetent boob.
to your point, there was a piece of legislation that went through the House yesterday. Mike Johnson put into it that the Democrats could not investigate Signal until October.
Yeah, I saw that. And the Democratic leader in the House said that basically the Republicans know that the investigation is not going to turn out well, so they're just trying to cover it up and kick it down the road as far as they can. I mean, these people in the House it's a shit show. It's a fucking circus. Pardon my language. But especially on the GOP side, these people, it's all a spectacle. These are the worst of the worst. I don't even know who elects these people, but nothing gets done. These are not serious people that are actually, trying to make this country better. It's just a clown show. It's ridiculous. And that's an offense. That's an affront to clowns.
Two clowns. Yeah, for sure. Who can out-clown who is kind of how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did Mike Waltz try and get back into good favor, but apparently Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, had issue with him. They felt that his assistant Wong was working with Chinese officials. This came from Laura Loomer, who I guess has some heavy weight in the Oval Office.
Oh God, the quick change artist.
That's right. Bannon, Tucker Carlson, they all wanted him out. So he's out, but he's down at the UN. He's the UN's problem now. It was funny because he was on this morning on Fox News and he was really pumping up the president, which is kind of his thing because everybody does. I don't know if you saw the cabinet meeting, but it was disturbing and we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, North Korea called and said, too much, tone it down.
So, he was doing his job and pumping up the administration, and within 90 minutes, he was fired. I'm pretty sure everybody at Fox knew he was going to be fired except for him, but that's how this administration rolled. It was too much.
Man.
So say goodbye to Mike Waltz for now.
Bye, Mike.
He'll be subpoenaed come October. When somebody actually cares about getting some stuff done other than feathering their nests.
Well, he's lucky he doesn't live in Russia because he'd be out a window by October. So,
Excellent point. UN ambassador, what was the other thing? Well, I don't know. We're going to move away from him, though. He's really ineffective, and it just gives me flashbacks to yesterday's roundtable, which was just horrific, frankly.
What's this round table you speak of?
Well, just the cabinet meeting, which they just go around. Bondi said she's signing death warrants for people, and they just took great glee in it. And all the numbers were fudged. How many? They saved half of America. They saved 130 million, Americans. I mean, the numbers are just
saved them from what? Saved them from themselves. Saved them from eating and buying groceries. I mean, and it's interesting. I read a book a while back, and one thing that stayed with me, it was written by a well-known journalist. Um, this book came out in 1942. It's called The Last Train Out of Berlin.
Okay.
It was by Howard K. Smith, who went on to become an anchor for ABC News, kind of a wall-eyed fella. You may remember him, people of our generation. Uh, but he was a correspondent covering the Nazi regime, Hitler and his cronies. And he likened the Third Reich and this regime to a big shiny apple, right, with a big shiny red color. But inside that peel, the apple's rotten, right?
Yeah.
This administration, this regime is just built on lies.
Yeah.
Everything is made up. I mean, if you look closely at it, you can see the rot. And eventually you can tell people that the price of eggs are going down, the price of gas is going down, but you know what? You can only get away with that for so long. People aren't dumb. I mean, when it starts hitting them at home and the grocery bill is going up and you're paying more for gas and you're on Amazon, and thanks, Jeff Bezos, way to cave, way to really stand up there, Rocket Man.
Yeah.
So now people are going to be extra surprised. So, apparently Trump took offense to the fact that, Amazon decided to publish what the cost was going to be after the tariffs and then quickly walked it back because dear leader apparently, didn't care for that. And, Jeff Bezos, well, enough said about that guy. But people are going to notice when they go to check out, hey, this cost me twice as much as it did last time. I mean,
Well, as you said, a lot of people have orders that reorder every month or whatever, and you'll definitely see the bump in cost with that.
Yep.
Stephen Miller did come out today and reaffirm about egg prices dropping 80%. I mean, again, these are just made up numbers, and anybody that's bought eggs knows that this isn't true. Talks about fuel costs and how much energy we're going to be making that'll cut everything. That's a tax cut right there. Okay, gas is cheap.
Gas is not cheap.
Basent came out today and started talking about gas prices, and he said, and there's parts of Florida that have $1.98 gas, but I swear everybody that researched it could not find it. AAA keeps these statistics. There is no gas for $1.98, but then he makes it even more offensive by saying, "Hey, there's your tax cut. That's a tax cut." It's not
well, is it? Did they get that from the Nathan For You episode where he was, which is a very funny show. Yeah, where the rebate, he had the guy, he's like, look, I know, and it was filmed in California, and this show is like 10 years old. The gas was like over $5 a gallon, and he's advising this guy, an older guy who owned like a mom and pop store, hey, listen, if you want to drum up more business, put on the sign that the gas is $1.75 after rebate.
Yeah.
And so he put it up on the sign, and people lined up to buy gas. But the catch was you get your money back after the rebate. So you're still paying $5 whatever. And in order to get the rebate, you couldn't just mail it in. You had to fill out the form. And it was a 20-page disclaimer form. You had to fill out the form. It had to be returned to a mountain 3 hours east of LA, and an hour and a half hike up the mountain to find the box. And lo and behold, I mean, people ended up having to spend the night and, to save about 10 or 15 bucks. But yeah, so that's maybe that's where they got the idea of saying $1.99 gas. But
how many people actually were able to do the rebate?
3 of them actually stayed. They started out with 8, and he drove like a minivan shuttle to the mountain, and he's like, I can't believe I'm in a minivan full of cheapskates. And all 8 of them hiked up the mountain. They got to the top, and he's like, well, here's the thing. Now, to get to the box, we have to answer a series of riddles to find clues. So as they're going through these riddles, people started dropping out and hiking back. And in the end, there were 3 people left. And he's like, I can't believe these 3 cheapskates are going to spend the night here on this mountain, because he had tents and sleeping bags set up. And they spent the night. They had a campfire. And in the morning, he's like, you know what? I feel like we found something more important than a rebate. We made friends here. And these people were all kooks. One guy drank his own urine.
Oh.
There was just 3 very eccentric characters. And he's like, and the average price of the rebate was like $12.
Jeez.
So they went through all this, but apparently they had nothing better to do. And they all became friends. And he's like, so you know what? In the spirit of friendship, I'm going to tell you that there is no rebate box.
Oh, geez.
And they leave the hike down, and then the camera pans back to show there's a rebate box behind a bush. 10 feet from where they were standing. So this seems to be kind of what they're modeling this whole regime based on.
Well,
Long story short.
I'm not driving to Florida to get $1.98 gas that isn't actually there.
Yeah.
And there is no gas there for $1.98. It's just not a thing. But there are enough people that are losing their jobs so they don't have to worry about filling up the old gas guzzler, because don't bother. On that note, we talked about Nissan and Subaru no longer manufacturing cars in the United States. You can add Mazda to that. No more, not interested. It's just the basis of yesterday's roundtable with the president was this was Biden's fault. The next quarter is probably going to be Biden's fault, and just give us more time. And that scares the pants off me, because I don't want to give them 6 months. 6 months turns into 9 months, turns into 12 months, and I'm still losing all the way.
Yeah, well, if you flash back to the debate where, Kamala de-pantsed him, he had a concept of a healthcare plan. It's
true.
coming. Just wait, be patient. It's a concept. Like,
still waiting.
Yeah, we're always going to be waiting. None of this is ever going to come through, because they just make shit up and they kick the can down the road and hope you forget about it, and they flood the zone with more bullshit, so you're more overwhelmed. I mean, there's a pattern here.
The date is coming out slowly, whether he likes it or not. I'll put up the golden arches. McDonald's store traffic fell unexpectedly this quarter. U.S. sales dropped by the most since the height of the pandemic in 2020.
Wow.
People are nervous, and that's what McDonald's feels. That's their biggest indicator when traffic stops, because people would rather drink their dinner.
Well, and McDonald's has gotten expensive too.
All of them are. You're right.
It's not what it used to be.
For sure.
Not that I go to McDonald's, but
it is. I think the one time I went through there, I was just shocked. But as you've said in the past, the value meal is where it's at if you're feeling like some McDonald's.
Yeah.
Along that lines, I guess we'll stick with some of the economic stuff. Construction is another thing that's happening here. Where is this guy? Construction costs have exploded, basically. So foreign I'm sorry.
Well, everything's more expensive.
For sure.
All the supplies. You were telling me about paint.
Yeah, a gentleman had the example where he bought 3 gallons of really high-end Sherwin-Williams paint that his contractor told him to get. He had bought a gallon a couple months ago. I think it was about $150, which seemed like a lot to me, but he said it was super high-end. I'm not sure what he was doing with it. But when he went back to get it yesterday, it was over $300.
Wow,
I don't know who's buying that kind of paint. It seems ridiculous. But with the construction costs exploding, foreign interests are abandoning U.S. properties, and these developers are just frozen. These projects in most cities are just going to be on hold.
Which means people are going to be out of work.
For sure. And I don't know if that's if they're waiting for the orange guy to leave. That could take a while. But
if he ever leaves.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a jobs report that came out?
Yeah, I want to say it was higher than expected, the jobless report. And then they used another term yesterday. I think it was the job vacancies. That was also down. And none of these numbers are good. None of these people are actually going to work. And we're only firing more people out of Doge.
You're not unemployed. Your job's just vacant. You're fine.
You can show up, but we're not going to pay you.
I mean, don't show up. You'll be escorted away.
Yeah. It just goes down the line. I'm going to bring this up. The National Cancer Institute. We're firing only the best people, apparently. So the National Cancer Institute has 28 advisors. And basically what they're tasked with is guiding the direction of federally funded cancer research. All of them have been let go. So they had 28 of them. Now they have 0.
And again, man, I say this every time, but why? What is the point of this? Cancer affects everybody. This makes no sense to me. None of this makes sense to me, but I say that all the time. So again,
continue.
Same shit, different day.
Because you're absolutely right. And that kind of jumps into health. Let me put up RFK Jr. I mean, he's at it again. Here he is looking a little bit shocked. That's actually a photo when he pulled out of the election.
Dude, there's a sweet potato sitting on my counter that looks just like that guy. And it's just like, ugh.
So RFK Jr. came out and he had a couple conferences where he was a guest speaker and he talked about the MMR vaccination. He mentioned that it contained aborted fetus remains along with scratched DNA. Not a thing.
Not a thing.
Anywhere. The MMR is measles, mumps, and rubella. Most of us had it as kids. It's what we talk about maybe going to get our booster. Let me take him off the screen. He's extremely distracting.
He is.
So he wants to take, he doesn't believe in vaccines. We're clearly seeing that, but now he's going back at something that's tried and true and has been tested. If you get one dose of the MMR, it's 93% effective against measles. If you end up getting the second dose, you're up to 97%. Your chances of getting it are 3%. Very, very light. And the point of what he's spewing is scientifically inaccurate, and it's dangerously misleading. And then he jumped right to the Mennonites. Oh, well, the Mennonites are refusing to take it because of this aborted fetus remains.
What?
I know. It's crazy. Don't be calling out the Mennonites, first of all, for shit that you don't know.
Yeah, because you know why? You're going to have a shitty time on your date when you find out that girl's a Mennonite and you've already made a joke about it. So yeah, just don't do it.
Yeah, that wasn't right, was it?
I don't know. It was a long evening. Thank God you and Jimmy Hay were there.
No doubt. Also, tuberculosis has turned up in Florida. This is something else that you can get vaccinated against, but as the anti-vaxxers continue to mess things up, that's also a problem.
Wow.
It's crazy. And then back to old trusty Rusty on the measles, 884 cases as of April 24th in 30 states. We still have 3 children that have died because of it. And it didn't have to be this way. But this is your HHS guy. He's got one determination, and that is to find out why kids have autism. And he's hell-bent by September to get some rationale out. Will it be right?
Probably not.
To say.
Man's got a worm in his brain, and he tried to cut the head off a beached whale, but I'm sure he's very competent. But seriously, I mean, what about like the epidemic, the growing number of Americans who are pre-diabetic,
sure,
who are obese and unhealthy? I mean, that is something that they're not even addressing. They don't even care about that.
Well, in an indirect way, I guess, when he's talking about the food dyes that he's trying to get out, he said that the basic number one food group was Fruit Loops. Of course, he's blaming Biden. Listen, sugar in any form. I don't think any of us that eat Fruit Loops are thinking that we're eating a healthy cereal. You know what you're getting. No greater example that you've talked about in the past, Cookie Crisp. It's a cookie in milk. I mean, it sounds delicious, and I love it. You
and I go through a whole box in one sitting.
How could you not?
It was good, but yeah, it's not a healthy breakfast, not a balanced breakfast. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and just because I find it fascinating. I mean, how much food can affect your health, and how it affects your metabolism. And a lot of these foods now, there's a loophole in the law, so a lot of these food companies can stamp like fortified on their cereals. Well, it's fortified with something just as unhealthy, but a lot of people will buy it, think, okay, this is safe to give to my kids. And he bitches about big pharma, which is true.
Yeah.
But it's time to go after big food too.
I would agree.
The food pyramid is out of date. And just the things that these companies are putting out there, unless you really do your homework, and it's a lot. It really is, especially, if you're a busy parent and you don't have a whole lot of time and you just want to pick up something that you think is healthy for your family. And a lot of this stuff is just not,
Sure.
where is he going after that instead of, making noise about aborted fetuses in a vaccine. I mean,
It's all about vaccines with this guy. He's not exploring any of the other stuff, and he really doesn't care.
he really doesn't care, and that's a problem.
And not to interrupt the point of the food, but measles is now likely to become an epidemic in the next 20 years in the United States. I mean,
Jesus,
that's
and
eradicated in 2000, and within 20 years, it could be 850,000 cases over the next 25 years. And
it's back, baby.
And that's if vaccination rates stay the same.
Wow. And you know, for people of our generation, it's not good. You don't want that.
No, it can mess you up on several levels. I mean, it's a serious problem. But we're gonna put it all into finding out what's causing autism.
It's Biden's fault. Biden caused autism. Everybody knows it.
It's so true. Just to go back to some numbers, we talked about the GOP budget for FEMA, which is literally zero. They have no budget currently. The only thing that they put in FEMA was $300 million to pay for Trump's golfing trips.
Well, yeah, you know, man's got to golf. The dear leader has to get out there and swing the old irons.
Now, in the same token, they cut $1 billion in a grant aimed at boosting mental health services in schools. Now, this is part of getting rid of the Department of Education, which they've gutted. We have our A1 our A1 sauce lady, who's just talking about basically making public schools not an option for people. I know the Supreme Court's now weighing in on whether you can have publicly funded religious schools.
This is horrifying.
Amy Coney Barrett withdrew from the discussion. So you're looking at 8 justices. If it goes 4-4, then it'll be pushed down the road. People feel like their religion's being, I don't even know how they put it in this order, but they're being condemned for their religion, and they feel like it's just not fair.
Dude, these people are always the victim. But here's the thing: you want to send your kid to a Catholic school, a religious school, have at it. But why are the taxpayers paying for that? How is that right? That's
Makes no sense.
Ridiculous. And they're always talking about these Medicaid recipients. They just want a handout. Who are the people? And they always turn it around. They always project on everybody else. The thing is, you want a handout to send your kid to some crazy religious school.
Yeah, it's a little bit insane.
It makes no sense.
I think Barrett had some kind of association with somebody, and that's why not only did she teach at Notre Dame, but I know she has some ties, and I applaud her for taking herself out of the mix. It's I would say it's a weird thing, but Trump today had a bunch of religious leaders at the White House, and his direct quote was, well, first of all, he's bringing religion back. I didn't know it left.
Yeah.
And they asked him about separation of church and state, and his quote was, "Let's forget about that for one time." And people were like, well, when you start forgetting about stuff that's in the Constitution one time, now you're chiseling away at what you don't really want. And they have offices in the White House now, which is, again, very un-American. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
It's un-American.
But again, Trump just says the stupidest shit, and people just accept it because if you don't, he's coming at you with some retribution because he's a very tiny little bully. But,
again, I mean, we've got a toddler throwing a tantrum in the White House, and everybody is at his whim. It's like, remember the Twilight Zone movie?
Oh, with the kid in the cartoons? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Don't want to make him mad. Give him whatever he wants.
Whatever he wants. That's right.
Yeah. Our dear leader.
Yeah, we're living it.
It's pretty amazing. I did want to just close on the money part and say that in the 100 days, inflation has doubled. It's expected to be at 6.5% from 2.8%.
Wow.
And the last time things were this high, inflation-wise, was 1980. I think we know what happened. They blamed Carter for everything. And I know that we say, let's get this over quickly with Trump and try and reset the playing field. But we're still paying for some of the things that Reagan did. So this is like turning around an aircraft carrier and hoping that a F-16 doesn't fall off while you're doing it.
Yeah, Reagan did a lot of damage. I mean, that's when you started seeing the end of affordable college under
Yep,
that administration. That's when you started seeing the gutting of the environment,
for sure.
you know,
The first thing
and
he did was take the solar panels off the White House. What a
Mhm.
stupid thing that would be to have that on the White House in
Yeah, we don't need
1980.
that. So yeah, it's just these people are the worst. Every time that they are in power, things go to shit.
For sure. Some good news on that side of these people being terrible. The Alien Enemies Act, a Texas judge today, Rodriguez, who was appointed by Trump,
Hmm.
pushed back, and he said excess excess use of that law for war. Like, we're not at war. You're trying to use war as a cause. You're ruining the ordinary meaning of wartime. So that in
Yeah,
itself makes it illegal. He's put a pause on getting rid of any of these people to Venezuela. And again, he was Trump appointed. So it's not like he has an angst with Trump. He's just
yeah,
literally enforcing the law. Excess the scope of the law and runs contrary to the plain and ordinary meaning of wartime. We're not at war with another nation. We're not at war with Venezuela.
yeah.
You can't be sending people to El Salvador. It's just not a thing. And I did see yesterday where the El Salvadorian president questioned Trump on some of these guys he's sending who were not criminals and had no record. And Trump didn't want to hear about it. So even this guy who's taking the money had some objection to it, but not very much.
That's
Just
crazy. Well, I'm sure he
pointing
cashed
it
the
out.
check.
Yeah. Trump says the check's in the mail, and that guy just moves on. He doesn't care.
Yeah,
But the judges are standing up to most of this, which is a problem. KK Caroline came out and talked about would not deny that they might arrest a Supreme Court justice if they get in the way, and that seemed insane.
that seems batshit crazy. That, holy shit, that's a tipping point. If that's allowed to happen, that cannot happen.
Yeah,
Um, holy shit, yeah.
that'd be
But
pretty messed up.
dude, she's such a hateful little troll.
She's kind of a terrible person. I guess
Her and Bondi are like two sides of a horribly rancid evil coin.
and maybe with that said, we'll jump to her. I don't have any. I just want to show this is her daily press briefing. You can see these journalists. They are legitimate journalists. Let me see if I can make that bigger so you can see. These are legitimate. Goes pretty deep.
Yeah.
Legitimate journalists. Obviously, there's nobody from the AP there because she hates them. And Trump wants no newswire that's impartial unless they say Gulf of America. And they're refusing to do that. And I applaud them for that.
Yeah, it's the Gulf of Mexico, okay?
Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
So this is after this press briefing, she goes into another room. And I swear to God, it looks like SNL. And here's this fellow, old Blondikai.
He looks like Tweety Bird.
And what this is it launched today, I believe. It's called the White House Wire, and basically it's
Say
their own
wire or liar?
service. The Wire.
Oh,
So
it sounded like liar.
oh, Wire. Well, it will be that too. But she goes into this little room. It looks like a skit on SNL where you have 5 people. You can see 5 in this photo right here, and they ask softball questions.
How great is Trump?
Pretty much. So these are MAGA influencers only. It's the only people that are allowed in there. They ask softball questions and they echo the talking points of the administration or regime, as you call them. It's the style is in the Drudge Report, and it's one of those things. Out with the AP, in with this. I mean, this is it promotes all the high level officials within this regime and the positive news about the regime. It's not news. It's news about them that they want you to hear. So it's one-stop shopping.
So it's basically propaganda and lies.
Yeah, for sure.
And who's watching this?
And they're loving her for doing this. I don't know who's watching it, but these influencers, have the power. So they just puff her up about what an amazing mother she is and how does she do it. And
how does she do it?
Well, how does she do it? You'd mentioned that she married a billionaire. She did run that campaign in New Hampshire. She did owe money for it that she's not paid back. She's just like, the rest of us. You should have to pay those things back. She blasts people for not buying American products, yet she's wearing Chinese garments, so to speak. So, careful what you say and how you say it. But this Newswire thing just seems ridiculous and offensive to anybody, as we talked about, that went to journalism school, fine-tuned their craft, and actually is trying to make a difference. These people are not making a difference at all, except making me mad. And maybe that's...
you and me both.
You did talk about, let me just make sure I have, we did talk about the other day a little bit. You were talking about kids and health and stuff. I'm going to put this up here because there's, my happy ending was the fact that the UK was banning smartphones in school. We do have 13 states. Again, I'm not going to run down the list, with some variation trying to restrict phones in school. I thought it was an interesting topic, but digging a little bit deeper, some research came out about how it rewires, a young child's brain. No better example than, I'm sure we've all seen this before. Is this kid here? Where is he? Yes. Never too small to start on your phone. We've all been there. It's a good distraction for a kid. It sure makes them happy, which is super. But there is a lot of impact on development and function for these kids as they grow older.
Well, you see it in adults too. I mean, I see it in myself. It shortens your attention span.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Your ability to focus.
So it can literally change. So that 3-year-old that we see sitting on the phone, I mean, it can literally change the physical structure of your brain. So just compare it to like rerouting traffic during construction, right? So now we found a way to get to the dopamine train, and that's fantastic. I feel amazing. I'm getting my clicks and everything feels really good.
Till it stops.
Yeah, but as you said, the challenges are that all of a sudden it's diminishing your attention span. It's weakened your problem-solving skills, difficulty with multitasking, lack of self-control. All these things that you see and that we talked about, it's hard to disparage when this information comes out, as they're able to do more and more research since the smartphone came out.
Yeah, and when you're not getting your dopamine fix, you feel like shit.
That's right. So if you're getting more than 4+ hours a day, you're more likely to experience higher levels of anxiety and depression. We have, I'm not going to call it an epidemic, but we certainly have a lot of health issues of children and kids in their minds. They could use a little bit of help if we didn't cut $1 billion from that in education.
Yeah, we're off that.
Not so important. And as you said, it's harder for them to manage frustration, irritation, social cues. You just don't pick them up, right? Because you're just not in the moment. It's not helping these kids at all. And it's a whole generation of people coming through. And as you said, I'm not picking on young adults and children. We have the same issue, but we've already been basically hardwired because we didn't have it. We were analog growing up. We found ways to get along with others. We found ways to deal with frustration. We found ways to
alcohol.
To what?
Alcohol.
Well, sure, that's always been around. But you could multitask. I'm still very good at it today myself. Lack control.
You're a tremendous multitasker. Yes, you are.
Oh, thanks. But I'm just saying, we're not doing these kids any service. I'm not saying, hey, let's ban the smartphone.
But here's the thing: how mentally well adjusted do you need to be when your future is working in a factory servicing the robots? So, yeah.
I don't know actual numbers on these factories that they talk about car manufacturing. If it's 40,000 people, 20,000 people, 80,000 people. I know the Chrysler plant here was giant. You have 3 shifts going all day, so somebody's constantly working. What Nutlick or Lutnick said was there'll be about 4,000 to 5,000 jobs in these factories. So that number's spit in the ocean compared to putting people to work in these factories. And then he turns it into generational factories that you're going to work in. You're going to work in it. Your kid's going to work in it. His kid's going to work in it. That sounds horrifying.
It sounds horrible. That's incredibly dystopian. I mean, it's like something out of Oliver Twist.
And as we talked about, Ford tried to do this in South America, did he not?
Yeah, that did not work out well. I mean, these company towns. I mean, Aliquippa was a company town. Those old coal mining towns in West Virginia, company towns. I mean, you live in company housing. You don't have any union benefits. There's no protection, and you get paid in company script. And if you step out of line, you're out of there. You have no home. You have no money. You're just done. And that's what they want to bring back.
Can you go to another town?
Probably not. You're probably on a list, I would imagine. But
I left Ford and now I can't go to Honda.
Yeah, I mean that I don't know, but this is what they want to bring back. I mean, because you're talking about, if you're a union auto worker, you're making a pretty good living.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that factory's gone. And it's just, this is a shit show. I mean, there's no good way to put it.
And I don't see people getting on board with that. I don't know why all these well-to-do people would want these private schools that they send their kids to just to end up in a factory and to have your grandkids in a factory.
Oh, that's not for their kids. Don't worry about that. Yeah, if you can write a check for college or for, a private school, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
And
the
to
rest
your
of
point,
you, it's either the military or the factory.
Yeah, and to your point, I think that's exactly why we're getting this gutting of public schools, an influx of religious institutions that we now want to publicly fund, because you can either do it their way through the School of Christ, maybe, or you can afford to do it. But if you can't afford to do it, there are no Pell Grants to get you into where the upper echelon's going to school.
That's socialism.
You're not going to get your education. No Pell Grants. You're not going to get a loan because who are you? You don't have the family money behind you. And then, then you slide into just basically factory work. Sounds terrible.
Yeah, it does. Or the military. We're going to start some wars to kind of pump it up. So,
and they are talking about numbers. I mean, they came out today and said the recruitment numbers are off the charts. Everybody wants to enlist because of the orange guy. And again, I'd love to see these figures broken down. I'm just not buying it.
Yeah.
How many brown people do you think are showing up at the recruitment office just to be taken out the back by ICE? I mean, I think we all saw the story in Oklahoma where a woman and her 2 kids moved there waiting for her husband to arrive. ICE came in, fully loaded, kicked in the door. She was like, I was lucky that we weren't completely moved in. Her husband wasn't there yet because she would have pulled a gun. She thought they were being robbed.
Yeah.
They came in with heavy weaponry, took everything out of the house, took their cell phones, took all their money, took pretty much everything except I think I saw 2 chairs that were left in the house. And they're still waiting. They went to the wrong house is the bottom line. No retribution against them for doing it. And she's still waiting to get her stuff back. Her and her 2 daughters are traumatized and there's nobody taking responsibility for it. Again, not even getting their cell phones back, let alone their money. That's not happening. And again, they came in unidentified, masks on, heavily armed, and just cleaned them out.
This is so un-American.
It's crazy. And you're right. It's extremely un-American. And to me, it's just one of those things where it's not sustainable. No. And people will die because of this. Because when you come barging into somebody's house that thinks you're robbing them, or maybe this will be the new buzz thing. I mean, crooks and grifters are pretty good at picking this stuff up. Maybe they'll come pounding on your door. I mean, we saw the idiot at Home Depot wearing his made up ice jacket that he made at home.
Yeah, bird legs.
Yeah, just to be a dick to people. Oh,
yeah.
Not her. I just mean John.
No, that guy had bird legs too.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Christy Nome.
Yeah, no.
Every time
Another one not making it to leg day. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. But you've seen it with local cops too. The woman in Kentucky that was murdered by those cops with their no-knock warrant. I mean, it's nothing new. It's just spreading, and it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's un-American. It's it's a police state. It's
really bolstered these police who are generally, most of them don't even have their associate's degree, to just be bigger dicks, so to speak. They treat people poorly. It's not protect and serve. It's, hey, I am the judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah.
Show me your ID. Well, we have laws that say unless I'm doing something or being detained, I don't have to show you ID. Was I doing something? I'm telling you to do it. I mean, you see it all the time because
Yeah.
everybody's got their phone with them, and these cops, they have to have their body cams on, and they don't care. They kind of think they're above the law, and maybe they are in Trump's universe. I'm not sure.
Well, they are in Trump's universe. Yeah. I mean, they've taken the handcuffs, bad pun, off of these guys. And, and these police unions are so powerful too, and, most of the DAs and the prosecutors' offices work hand in hand with the cops. It's insane.
Well, in the civil liberties part of government, I think they lost like 70 lawyers. They really don't have anybody to represent, and they're leaving because they're not allowed to do their job.
Hmm.
Leaving, early retirement, forced retirement, however you want to look at it. But we're losing our legal representation for the average person. And again, we're supposed to be fighting for the little guy and taking care and looking out for our underserved. And that's almost a thing of the past.
Yeah. It's scary.
Not loving it. I think I may have said that, but the key to the phone thing, just to close on these kids, is moderation and some balance. I know it can be tough parenting. I know sometimes kids drive you crazy. It's an easy thing to give them their phone. I'm not saying don't do that. What I'm saying is everything in moderation. You like your Fruit Loops? Have them, but don't pull an Uncle Bill and eat all of them. I know it's hard to do, but you do
Yeah.
your best. I wanted to pop this up just on the tourism front because this was another lie that was fed to us. Trump said so much money's coming in with tourism. It's amazing. People are coming here. Not a fact.
No.
People are not coming here. I keep seeing videos on TikTok of Las Vegas practically empty, unheard of, frankly. But
Yeah.
I don't know who's wagering, and if they cut 20% of your Social Security, the slot machines are going to feel that.
Oh, for sure.
Grandma doesn't have a brand new bag because she can't afford it.
Yeah. That cup full of quarters is 20% less now. So,
Yeah, that's rough. I did want to add that for every 1% of a drop in visitors coming in, that's 1%, not 10%, but every 1% of visitors not touring our country or coming to visit, that spending is about 1.8 billion in revenue that's lost each year. So
and
yes,
jobs.
it's and jobs. Well, and they're doing that right now in Vegas. They're laying off dealers. They're laying off food servers. You just don't need them. The pit bosses get to stay, but yeah, and a lot of people in the hotel business as well. People that make beds and actually clean up behind you, if they haven't already been deported.
Yeah.
So, but that is one of the things Trump said. If you put some money in the wishing well, also known as his pocket, maybe your people can stay and do their craft. If it is in hotel or resort management, we'll think about it. I mean, Mar-a-Lago had the most undocumented people working there,
Yeah.
and probably still does. So,
Well, the law doesn't apply to him.
and just to keep on the liar trail, because there were so many of them yesterday, he talked about China and China really wanting to make a deal. And the Chinese are pretty firm on the fact that they're not calling Trump at all. They don't really care. They're buying their beef from Australia, as we talked about. They're buying their soybeans from Brazil. They're no longer taking Boeing aircraft. They're all in with Airbus. And we get the higher prices. So the tidbit was that Trump's people have been calling China all day long. They just continue to call China. And what the Chinese do is they accept their call, they put them on hold, and then they play a bunch of Obama speeches. They keep them on hold until they hang up. I mean, that's kind of crafty and smart.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
So pretty unbelievable. China doesn't care. They don't care for this guy. The tariffs pissed them off. We pushed it without making any sense. There was no rhyme or reason to this math. I think if we could have explained it and put it on paper and shown what we're doing, but you just talk to the red hats and you say, hey, we've been getting ripped off. Oh, everybody's been ripping us off. I mean, trade works because everybody gets something. And I think we've been getting our stuff. The most offensive thing Trump said yesterday was that, so you're not going to get 30 toys for Christmas. The kids will get 2, and they might be a little bit more expensive. I mean, that's a guy that can't relate.
Yeah, that's a guy that definitely can't relate, doesn't want to, doesn't care to. And, it's not even a matter of how many toys you're going to get. It's getting to the point now where it's like, how many meals? Oh, so your kid doesn't get 3 meals a day. Maybe it's some Fruit Loops for breakfast. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's offensive, and it's beyond disturbing. This is just, it's maddening.
Well, and we know that W. Bush sent all the manufacturing away so we could have these cheap products so that companies could pay people a lot less in salary. So when you're making a lot less in salary, you need these less expensive goods that happen to come from China because we don't want to produce them here.
We'll wait till people start showing up at Walmart and finding empty shelves and higher prices.
Yeah. Well, they're going to try and keep down the empty shelves just because, like we talked about, Home Depot, Walmart, and Target were the first 3 to tell China, start sending them. I don't care what the cost is. We're not paying it. Dummy's going to pay it who takes it off the shelf. So that is kind of an issue for us as a nation. But to turn it around and say, hey, we don't need all those cheap goods, then pay me better. And I'll buy something that's more expensive, that's better quality. But,
well, yeah. I mean, people, when you don't have, unlimited spending money, that's a problem.
Have you heard of the dollar store? I mean, the first
now it's
time
the
I went in there,
$5 store.
Yeah. Well, the first time I went there, I was like, well, how much is this? They're like, it's $1. I'm like, but what about this? It's $1. I'm like, but this, I mean, it's it's $1. But you're
Not
right.
anymore.
It's just surprising because all shapes and sizes of goods in there were $1, and people needed that, and it was we laid out the foundation for them needing these inexpensive stores. Dollar General, those stores do really well on the stock exchange because people use them.
Oh yeah. I wonder how that stock's looking now.
I'm not sure. I'm not even looking at the stock market because I just find it to be somewhat offensive, and I'm tired of being lied to by President Dummy. So it is what it is. I just don't want people to feel like we've done something wrong because our leadership is putting us in a position where we're set to fail.
In 100 days, it's been 100 days, and look at what they've done. This is unbelievable. It really is. It's mind-boggling.
It is, and it's only getting worse every day. It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, the fact that we didn't budget any money for FEMA and Arkansas is still crying for money. They need money. They need federal aid, and Trump said no. And even though Huckabee Sanders praised the dear leader and called him personally again, no, you don't need it. North Carolina's not back to where it was. And I won't even go there, but I did see that Israel has some forest fires and they're looking for aid. I thought that was the biggest slap in the face. Really? You're doing all this stuff. You've ruined our election based on voting for Israel. All this other stuff that you're pulling genocide. But now you have a fire, wildfires, and you want aid from other people. Are you insane? Is that crazy? Oh, now you're like crazy. One of us? No, you don't get it. No FEMA for you. And don't bother calling the Canadians because they're not coming to help. Mainly we tarnished that. I mean, who helped put out wildfires in the western parts of our state? Canada.
Yeah.
I was shit all over them.
Well, and Canada sent a pretty strong message to Trump with their election. So
he didn't take it that way. He said the person that loved him more won. So the liberal liked him more, didn't love him, but liked him more than the conservative, and that's why he won. I mean, this guy's delusional. If you listen to him talk long enough, it's easy to spot that he's, touched by a little dementia or just old age. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that crappy diet, he's got to be pre-diabetic with that shit diet that he eats and the lack of exercise.
What's pre-diabetic? He's so old. You're either you are or you aren't. Like,
well,
what? He's going to get it in his 90s?
But I mean, it affects your brain. That's one of the things they think may
So does
now be a
syphilis.
cause of Alzheimer's. Well, syphilis too, yeah. But, the brain runs on glucose, and when you become pre-diabetic, you become insulin resistant. So the brain is not getting the fuel that it needs, and those neurons aren't firing the way they used to. Or in Trump's case, I don't know that they ever correctly fired, but allegedly, yeah, that guy's brain is turning to mush. Not fast enough. Not fast enough.
Well, and he's got enough sycophants that support him. So even if he misspeaks, they just turn it into something amazing that he meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's
the greatest speaker ever.
He's the greatest speaker ever. Many people said that.
Many people.
He won by the most this, that, or fill in the blank. I mean, it's just.
Oh, yeah.
He's such a menace.
99% of the voters voted for Trump, okay? 99%. It's a fact. You could look it up.
Again, anybody believing these numbers is just insane.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people, they don't even care. They're just going to go with it because this is their guy. And they're winning. It's like so much winning. And we're going to own the libtards and all the other stupid shit. Woke this, woke that. It just, none of it's helping any of us, but here we are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
So I guess on that note, I should probably get to a happy ending, maybe.
You got one? What do you got?
I got a happy ending for sure. This might not be it. Well, you know what? We'll just pop that up there because it looks like a happy ending to me.
It does.
We don't really write in cursive anymore, but I think you get the idea. My happy ending was that, and I know Schumer, nobody loves Schumer, but the SAVE Act is dead. Will not be happening. Dead on arrival. It needs 60 votes. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
So thankfully, that's a great start because there are states that are running elections where I saw a few women had to go home 2 or 3 times to get the right documentation just to vote. Even though they've been on the rolls, we're going back to your maiden name. You got any proof of that, honey? I mean, I know you're in your 60s, but do you have a, I don't know, birth certificate on you handy with the original crest on it? I mean, yeah. I find it amazing that you and I still had our Social Security card, the original one, which is nuts. Oh, yeah. But back in our day, somebody would give you a wallet. Granny K always gave you a wallet, had to have something in it, usually a penny, because you can't have an empty wallet.
Yep.
And you put those kind of cards in there and forget about it. But when I needed to go get a real ID, I had it. I have my kids too, just because, that's how we were brought up type of thing. But not everybody does. And not everybody has that kind of identification, even though you're already on the rolls. Why do you have to reprove who you are?
Yeah, it's ridiculous because they know that that's the only way they can win elections. I mean, they stole this one.
Yeah.
They're not going to convince me that they didn't.
Well, and then, Trump always says the quiet part out loud. I will mention that he talked about Pennsylvania. He was sitting with the UFC guy. What's his name? White.
Dana White, yeah.
Dana White. And he was with Musk on election night. They're sitting there and he's like, oh my God, I'm going to lose Pennsylvania. And Musk said, give it 15 minutes. Pennsylvania's yours. And 15 minutes later, they called Pennsylvania for him. So Starlink does a lot. Again, Trump, don't say the quiet part out loud. I won all 7 swing states. Never happened before. And here he is just.
It didn't happen this time either. I got news for you. But, that Elon, he knows those computers better than anybody, that Elon.
Ask his nose-picking little kid. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The other happy ending that I had, I'm a big fan of the Institute of Museum and Library Service. Go to your crate, Jay. Hey.
Yeah, it's that. You're about to get another happy ending, I think. That was a big burst of thunder. So you may not have to hit the links tonight.
You're going to have to dose the dog.
You better dose the dog.
My other happy ending was that a judge is inclined to grant restoring order, which Doge had blocked an effort to dismantle the Institute of Museum and Library Services. They furloughed or basically put on leave all 75 staffers that work with that. We have already talked about the museum and library services. It's not just about what books you can read. It's about keeping our historical museums and adding things, even though the Smithsonian is taking away African-American artifacts as we speak, because it seems kind of DEI, which is horrific to both of us.
Well, I read, there was a small article about that in a recent issue of the New Yorker. And the order that Trump put out just said that this goes against the American sense of optimism and freedom. We can't be having this. It's just like,
we need to know
out here. But it's the same thing they did in Russia. You know, they had that very brief period where things started to open up before, you know, Putin rolled in. And, you know, once Putin came back in, they took everything away again. Everything was all about Stalin and Lenin and, you know, the great Soviet system. And, you know, that's how these kind of rulers roll. But, you know, the great thing is this is America. We're a nation of unruly children. We, you know, eventually we've had enough and we don't play that. So let's hope that, you know, that spirit is still alive and well amongst us. I mean, you know, with the protests and everything, people have had enough. And, you know, we're not going to have that. It's in our DNA, man. We may not always get along, and there's a third of us that don't get along with anybody, but I think there's enough of that DNA left in us that we're not going to be told what to do. We're not going to be your punching bag, and we're certainly not going to sit back and let you walk all over us. I mean, there's got to be a limit, and we're fast approaching it. So let's hope that spirit of Americanism is still alive, because we're going to need it.
Yeah, we definitely need it. And I do agree with you. I think it's still part of our moral fabric that we can overlook a lot of each other's differences in order to not have the foot put on our throat, you know, as a group, because they're coming for all of us, essentially, that don't want to fall in line with that. I feel like it'll be like Indiana Jones, where all these artifacts will be put away into the government storage. Hopefully. I mean, this guy's crazy enough that who knows where that stuff's going to go. Might end up in Donnie Jr.'s basement, so pocket later. I don't know. All those, they're going to end up in the executive club, I think. Some signage.
Look at that. You can buy the Declaration of Independence on eBay.
He's showing that. He was displaying that again in the Oval Office. It's just ridiculous. He thinks that's literally the Declaration of Independence. Pretty neat, huh, Laura? Isn't that cool?
Look at this. I'm going to wipe my shoes on it.
What a dope. Right behind the curtain. Pull the curtain. Oh, look at that. Declaration of Independence. They thought it'd be a great idea. He was wrong. But you're not even respecting the document. Why should it be in your office?
Seriously.
Anyway, that was a mouthful. I do feel like those 75 people getting their jobs back at the Museum and Library Services, the Institute for Museum and Library Services, all this stuff, it takes time. I mean, we talked about that a month ago, and now we're finally getting a judge who's willing to, you know, grant this restraining order and get these people back to work. It's what it's going to take. The judicial system's going to have to really save us. And it's a big part. It's a third. It's not like the executives at the top of the pinnacle. Yes, Rubio came out and said that they're going to do whatever they want with foreign decisions on how we deal with foreign policy. Keep it off our own land type of thing. You don't have that kind of power. There's three branches.
A little more. Go.
Exactly. Rubio's turned very hateful. We're not even going to talk about him.
No,
but
he's not even worth it.
We'll stay on that happy ending. The SAVE Act going away to me is huge because women will wake up to the fact that their husbands are morons and vote the way you want to. Do your research. They're a lot more social animals. They get out and we'll see. We're going to need their help for a change.
Yeah,
because they put this guy here, and I'm not going to take that part.
White women,
absolutely. All right, Billy. Well, hopefully the storm doesn't come, but if it does, close your windows. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Buddy, nice job.
All right, you too, man. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, see ya.